I have not made a video in my series documenting my journey getting diagnosed with and living with bipolar 2 depression in a long time. I've had a few people ask me to keep documenting it, but I hadn't for two reasons. And one was I have a lot of other stuff going on in my life, and this experience is one part of my life, but there are a lot of other things, and so I've been busy. And then the other part is that I didn't want to just talk about it to talk about it. I was waiting until I felt inspired or I felt like I had something more to say. And today, for some reason, I feel that way. I really had been out just living my life. I hadn't had a low or a high in a really long time. My medication had set in and I had just been really coasting. And a lot of changes had happened. I am now in a new apartment with my sister. I am working a full-time job. Our kittens are, clawing at the door. Sorry, guys. There was all this change, but I just was good. I was doing good. And then for some reason today, I woke up in a low. And I don't know why. It actually started really late last night when I was trying to go to bed. And my God, hold on, these cats are not gonna rest. And it's not a horrible low. It's, it was a little harder to get out of bed, but I still got up. I've been getting work done. I just don't care about it as much as I usually do. I don't have any food in the house, and there's no way I'm leaving the house. So I haven't eaten yet today, which is making it worse. So I called in backup. I called my dad, and he's gonna bring over some soul food, that is at least some growth there. I feel like for a long time I always thought that I had to do it all by myself, and it was a sign of weakness or a failure if I needed help with basic tasks like that. Especially as a young woman living on her own. Am I really gonna text my dad and say, hey, can you bring some food by? But I don't know. The older I get, yes, it's important to be independent, but if you don't have to go through it alone, if you don't have to do it on your own, if people are willing to help you, why not? The fact that I know that there's some food on the way is like, oh my God, it's gonna make the difference between me, getting through the things I need to do today and not getting through the things I need to do today. I'm really excited. I'm really thankful for that. I'm really thankful that I've learned to let people help me who want to help me. Even if it is going into the area now of asking people to go out of their way to help me. I'll have to do something nice for my dad in return. Like I said, woke up in a low today, and instead of getting directly out of bed, I pulled my phone out and started looking at some things, and I opened up YouTube and I saw a couple comments on the last video I posted. I think there was one person who was saying their diagnosis journey and how they still graduated with honors, they still had a very successful career, and how much it really is possible to live a good life with this thing. And I know I'm always preaching that, but I woke up this morning not feeling that way. And to hear it from somebody else was the difference between getting up and getting going and not. So yeah, recovery is hard, and doing normal things with this when you feel this way is so hard. And since I hadn't actually had this feeling in a couple months, I think I was starting to forget. But it's so much better when you don't have to do it alone. And it's so much better when I can text my dad and say, hey, my illness is acting up today, I need support. And I can go on YouTube and people know, and we have this community, and I was able to read somebody's response, and they were basically able to share with me what I had forgotten. And I think that's really beautiful. I was going into the thought process of why do I feel this way? Why am I sad all of a sudden? Why am I melancholy all of a sudden? And, I was thinking about it. I had been doing so good about exercising, 3 or 4 times a week, 2 to 4 times a week, and getting myself into bed at a regular time and waking up at a regular time, and remembering to take my medication every night. And as I was thinking about it, I forgot to take my medicine last night, so I took it in the morning. I threw my sleep schedule off this week because I stayed up super late playing a game on my iPad that I'm addicted to. And I haven't been able to feed myself yet today. And it is really interesting. All those self-care things that people are always saying are so important, but you don't think about how much they correlate with your mental health. It's interesting that I'm learning to sit and say, okay, I am feeling a low coming on. What can I track this to? Oh, my sleep schedule's off. My medicine schedule is off. I, need to probably go on a walk, as painful as it's going to be. I probably need to make myself go to bed at like 10 p.m. tonight and get 8 hours of sleep. So another update that I wanted to share is I got to present to the high school health classes at my alma mater, and they're in their unit right now where they're talking about mental health and they're learning about mental health. So I got to go present about my experience and just talking about my bipolar diagnosis. And I went on Instagram and I asked people to contribute their own advice and their own experiences for them, and we got somewhere close to like 40 responses. So I was able to read those out to these kids, and that was a beautiful experience. I learned a lot about how to talk about mental health because I wanted to make sure I did it responsibly. I think that the key that I'm learning is focusing the conversation on recovery. It is interesting to talk about how this feels, and I like to share that sometimes, but the goal is not to sit in this. The goal is to find a way to experience it as little as possible. So when I was talking to the kids, I didn't ask people to share, like, what is your worst experience with mental health? I asked people to share what are tips, quotes, statistics, advice that have helped you on your road to recovery. When I was talking to them, I made sure to structure it as, mental health. As I said at the beginning of this video, it's, if you have a mental health diagnosis, it's a chapter in your book, it's not your book. When I'm feeling like this is so all-consuming, and then it passes, as moods and feelings always do, and then I go back to my life, and I go back to my friends and my passions and hobbies and family and my job that I love. So I think those things are the way to talk about mental health. For what I've come to understand now, I might be wrong, I might learn new information tomorrow that changes my mind, but that's where I'm at right now. That's what I think right now from the information I've gathered. Not over-identifying or not glorifying mental illness. Not saying, I am bipolar, but I am Sophie G.D. Murray and I have bipolar disorder. As part of this discussion on my Instagram story, somebody shared that they tried to have different morning routines depending on what mood they woke up in. And I love that. Like, when I'm low, like today, it's really hard for me to feed myself. So I have, I usually keep my fridge stocked with frozen mac and cheese with broccoli, because a nutritionist told me that is, it's a carb, a protein, and a vegetable, and you can make it in like 5 minutes. Boom. What can we do? How do we, what are the things that you've figured out that help you? What are the things that I've figured out that help me? What are the ways to, like, strategically tackle this thing? Because, like I said, it's one part of a human, and there's so many ways, so many strategies to care for that part. and care for the human, like yourself, in a way that allows you to engage with all the other parts of yourself. And I'm not even going to frame this as a right or wrong. I can't tell anybody what's right or wrong, you know. But I think that's, for me right now, the conversation that I'm looking to have, and the conversation I've been enjoying having with people online and in these presentations. Yeah. I guess one more thing I'll share is the only question I got from the kids when I was presenting was, how do you know if you have a mental illness? And I thought that was a really interesting one. And since somebody was curious to know, I might as well share the answer because someone else might want to know. And the answer to that question is ask a doctor. The answer to that question is, I can't really answer that question, only a doctor can. But in my experience, you know, I was feeling sadness, and I was also wondering, is this normal sadness or is this a mental health condition? And the thing that finally pushed me to ask a doctor was that my life had become unmanageable. You hear that word a lot with alcoholism and addiction too. It's, you know, how do I know if this is becoming a problem? It's when my life became unmanageable. And I feel the same way with my depression. It was when the sadness was coming from nowhere, like this morning, when I couldn't think of any tangible reason why it would be happening organically. And it was when that sadness was interrupting my life. You know, I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't get myself to class. I couldn't get up in the mornings. I couldn't finish my thesis. I couldn't reach the goals that I wanted to reach. And I think that's a really good question to ask yourself if you're struggling with, you know, do I think I have something? Should I seek help? But also, if you're questioning it and you have the means, go see a doctor, if nothing else, for peace of mind. And if you don't have the means, there are so many amazing organizations that provide free psychiatry and free therapy. I will link a couple of them in my bio below. I'm well versed on resources in Marin County because that's where I live, and I'll do a little other research. Yeah, I mean, you deserve to, you know, live a life without a barrier like this. You know, I think every single person has something in them that we really need. Whether it's something to say, something you're going to do, something that you're going to change, we need that. And so if there's something like a mental illness that is holding you back from doing that thing or saying that thing, or, you know, even not on a global scale, on a personal scale, if there's something that is keeping you from the best life that you can live, if there's anything I'd want to communicate for Mental Health Awareness Month, it's that you deserve to be able to live a life that's manageable. I don't care who's watching this. I don't care who I'm talking to right now. Like, you deserve to want to live your life. You deserve to not have to live with a mental illness. I mean, you might have to if you have one, but you deserve to find the best ways to manage your symptoms as possible. Because we need you around. You have a lot to give the world. Usually I hate when people say generalized things like that, because I'm watching and I'm like, you don't know me, you don't know who I am, but it doesn't matter. No matter who you are, I firmly believe that that's true. So I guess this is turning out to be a Mental Health Awareness Month video. I guess that's what I'm here to say today. Yeah. I'll leave it there. Thanks for anybody who watches this, because when you guys watch and you comment and you engage, like on the last video, it is just so amazing for me, and that community has been so helpful. Like I said, somebody's comment got me out of bed this morning, and that is beautiful. So keep sharing if you're comfortable, and I always comment back because I love having these conversations. happy Mental Health Awareness Month.